I need to see some ID. You match a description.
What description?
Black male, running.
I'm Marcus Washington. I'm the chief of police.
Anyone can say that. Hands on the vehicle.
Unit 14, did you say you detained Chief Washington?
My office, Monday, 8 a.m.
Westbrook Heights, Connecticut, Saturday, August 5th, 2024, 6:23 a.m. Bodycam footage from Officer Kyle Bennett captures what would become the most viewed police interaction in the department's 89-year history, and the encounter that ended his career 11 months after it began. Chief Marcus Washington was 52 years old. He had spent 30 years in law enforcement, starting as a patrol officer in Hartford at 22, working his way up through the ranks: detective, sergeant, lieutenant, captain. He had solved homicides. He had dismantled drug trafficking networks. He had testified before the state legislature on policing reform. 7 years earlier, the town of Westbrook Heights had recruited him to lead their department. It was a prestigious position, one of Connecticut's safest communities looking for experienced leadership. He accepted, moved his family into a colonial on Maple Drive, and settled into what he expected would be the quiet final chapter of a distinguished career. On this Saturday morning, he was doing something ordinary: jogging. Every weekend, weather permitting, he ran the same 4-mile loop through his neighborhood. He'd wave to neighbors walking their dogs. He'd pass the same houses, the same trees, the same landmarks that had become the geography of his daily life for 19 years. He had not committed any crime. He had not triggered any alert. He had not done anything except exist in his own neighborhood on a Saturday morning. He was 50 yards from his own front door, yet within moments of Officer Bennett's cruiser pulling alongside him, everything changed. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, you need to hit that subscribe button. Stories like this don't get told unless we tell them, and your support means these videos reach people who need to see what's really happening out here. The bodycam footage shows Maple Drive in the soft light of early morning. Dew glistens on manicured lawns. American flags hang motionless from wraparound porches. Colonial homes with 100-year-old oaks lining both sides of the street, the kind of neighborhood that appears in magazines about America's best places to live. Chief Washington appears in frame wearing a gray athletic shirt and navy running shorts. His build is fit, his gray hair cut short. He slows to a stop and removes his wireless earbuds, his expression shifting from focused concentration to cautious assessment. His hands stay visible at his sides. Decades of training have taught him what sudden movements mean to officers who have already decided you're a threat. The bodycam timestamp reads 6:23:41. It is recording every word, every gesture, every second. Officer Kyle Bennett had been with the department for 11 months. He had transferred from another department 2 counties over after what his personnel file described as a mutual separation, the details of which remained sealed. He was 27 years old and operating on assumptions that had nothing to do with actual police work. At 6:19 a.m., dispatch had received a call from a resident named Patricia Hensley on Oak Street. She reported a suspicious person in the neighborhood. When the dispatcher asked for a description, she provided one: black male, running. That was it. No clothing description, no direction of travel, no indication of what made him suspicious, just black, running. In a neighborhood where people jogged every morning, Chief Washington had not triggered any alert. He had not matched any real suspect description. He had not done anything except exist in his own neighborhood while black. The footage captures his response: measured, professional. the voice of a man who has trained hundreds of officers on exactly how these encounters should go. He identifies himself as the chief of police. Bennett doesn't believe him. He points to his house, visible 50 yards away, the one with the blue shutters his wife picked out 12 years ago. Bennett doesn't care. He offers to have dispatch verify his identity. Bennett orders him to put his hands on the vehicle. The chief of police being ordered to place his hands on his own department's patrol car, a vehicle he personally signed the purchase order for 18 months earlier. Should police officers be required to verify the legitimacy of complaints before detaining citizens? Comment below. Because what happened next would be studied in police academies across the state. Chief Marcus Washington, 30 years in law enforcement, 7 years leading this department, placed his hands on the hood of his own cruiser. The body cam captures the moment. The chief of police, in running shorts, being detained by an officer who has been on the force for less than a year, 50 yards from his own front door, in his own neighborhood, on a street where he has lived for 19 years. "I'm complying," the chief says, his voice steady. "But I want you to radio dispatch right now. Ask them to describe the chief of police. I'll wait." Bennett hesitates. 47 seconds pass. The body cam records every one of them. Bennett keys his radio. His voice is uncertain now. "Unit 14 to dispatch. I need a physical description of Chief Washington." A pause. Then the dispatcher's voice, confused. "Chief Washington. Black male, approximately 6 feet, early 50s, short grey hair. Why do you need—" Another pause. Longer. "Unit 14, please confirm. Did you say you have Chief Washington detained?" The footage captures what happens next in devastating detail. Bennett's face drains of color. His hands drop to his sides. He takes a physical step backward, as if distance could undo what he has done. Chief Washington turns around slowly. His hands remain visible. His dignity is intact. "We're going to have a conversation, Officer Bennett. But not here. Not like this. In my office. Monday morning, 8 a.m. sharp." He pauses. "Don't be late." Then Marcus Washington, Chief of Police of Westbrook Heights, Connecticut, walks the remaining 50 yards to his house with the blue shutters, goes inside, and closes the door. He is a 30-year veteran of law enforcement. He is the highest-ranking police official in the city. He had committed no crime, had triggered no alert, had done nothing wrong. There was no basis for the stop. There was no description beyond black male, running. There was no reasonable suspicion of any kind. But the damage was already done. The meeting on Monday morning lasted 47 minutes. What was said remains confidential under personnel privacy laws. The outcome was not. By noon, Internal Affairs had opened a formal investigation. By Wednesday, it had concluded. By Friday, Officer Kyle Bennett was no longer employed by the Westbrook Heights Police Department. The official findings cited multiple violations: failure to establish reasonable suspicion before conducting a stop, failure to follow departmental protocols, racial profiling in violation of department policy and state law, and conduct unbecoming an officer. But the investigation revealed something else. The suspicious person call was traced. Patricia Hensley, the resident who called 911, admitted under questioning that she had called simply because she didn't recognize the jogger. She had lived in Westbrook Heights for 3 years. Chief Washington had lived there for 19. She saw a black man running through her neighborhood and called the police. That was it. That was the entire basis for the stop that detained the city's chief of police 50 yards from his own front door. Officer Bennett's personnel file was flagged, making it effectively impossible for him to be hired by another department in Connecticut. His previous mutual separation, the one with sealed details, was reopened and re-examined. Patricia Hensley was not charged. Filing a police report based on seeing something suspicious is not illegal, even when the suspicion is based on nothing but race. But her name became public through records requests. She sold her house 3 months later and moved out of state. The body cam footage was released the following week. It became required viewing in police academies across Connecticut. A case study in how assumption replaces investigation, how bias overrides evidence, how a routine Saturday morning can end a career before it truly begins. Chief Washington held a press conference the following week. He could have been angry. He had every right to be. Instead, he was measured. I was detained in my own neighborhood, 50 yards from my own front door, for the crime of jogging while black. I have a badge. I have a title. I have 30 years of service to law enforcement, and none of it protected me. None of it mattered when an officer looked at me and saw only the color of my skin. He paused. If this can happen to me, the chief of police, in my own neighborhood, with my house visible from where I was stopped, imagine what happens every single day to black men and women who don't have a badge, who don't have a title, who don't have anyone to call, who don't have a camera recording. This case is not simply about one jogger being stopped. It is about how quickly assumption replaces investigation. It is about how bias operates even within the institutions designed to prevent it. It is about how black male running became sufficient cause to detain a man in his own neighborhood, a man who happened to be the chief of police, but who could have been anyone. And it is about what happens when the person being stopped refuses to be diminished and has the camera to prove exactly what occurred. Chief Washington still runs on Saturday mornings, same route, same neighborhood, same landmarks. But now he carries his badge in his pocket, just in case. If you believe that black male running is not a criminal description, that police should verify before they detain, and that no one should be stopped in their own neighborhood for the crime of exercising while black, hit that subscribe button. Because in a country where the chief of police can be detained for jogging past his own house, none of us are truly safe. And the only thing standing between a bad stop and a tragedy is the camera that never blinks.